What I would say I do as a producer is I'm kind of the overseer of the whole project. Whether it's an album, EP, or a single song, I help a band realize their vision. Sometimes, it's not a unified vision, but I help a band to see their vision. What I like to do is figure out what's original, what stands out in a band, and bring that to the forefront. Because one of the most important things is originality, and that's one of the biggest things that's lacking in most music. So, if a band has something that's original about them, I'm like, hey, that's really cool. Let's do some more of that and incorporate that to create a sound for you, to create your own unique sound. Sometimes it takes an outside ear to do that because you're really close to your own project. I mean, even I know from experience playing in my own band, we always had to bring in a producer, an outside ear, to kind of help us sift through the ideas and streamline it because we were too close to it. And that's what I do. It's like I take the ideas, I take the vision, and I streamline it in a way that is easily perceived by a listener or a fan of the band. A lot of times that takes arranging songs, trimming songs down, writing new parts for songs, and sometimes just writing new songs. There's been plenty of times where I've written a song in the studio with a band. As a producer, sometimes you have to be a coach, sometimes you have to be a mentor, sometimes you have to be a psychologist, and sometimes you're just a bandmate. Every band that comes through here, I feel like I'm an additional bandmate for the time that they're in here, which is actually pretty cool. What happens a lot when you become a musician is you stop listening to music like a fan and you start listening to it technically. If you're a guitar player, you're like, oh, what is that guy doing? What technique is he using? Is he using a hammer-on? Is he doing sweeps? Is he what kind of picking is that? Is that up picking, down picking? And you start to get so caught up in that you forget what the whole picture is about.
Don't think. Feel. It is like a finger pointing away to the moon. Don't concentrate on the finger or you will miss all that heavenly glory.
I would say more than anything, that's the case with most of the musicians that I run into, because they're so entrenched in their own instrument that they forget why they got into music in the first place. And that was just because they loved the song, the whole song connected to them, the whole, a band connected to them. So I always keep that rule in the back of my head whenever I'm working on something. I always step out of the technique, or of course there's like recording techniques as well, and you got to make sure everything sounds good and it's going to be good sonically, but you have to step outside of that and then just let your 14-year-old inner fan listen to the music, and that's the real judgment. Like if your 14-year-old inner fan likes it, then other fans it's gonna connect with other people. That's the way I see it. Any fan of music, there's a connection there. There's a connection with the song, there's a connection with the band, and that's what creates, the reason that so many of us got into whatever style of music that we got into. And to me, when you're listening to music as a fan, the biggest thing that makes that connection is the vocals. The vocals, to me, are the most important thing. If you consider the music as the missile, I would call the vocals the warhead, because that's the message, that's the lyric, and that's what connects with the audience. It's the vocalist, the lyrics, what the song is about, and that works hand in hand with what the music's doing. So, maybe the vocals will say have a killer lyric that leads into an awesome breakdown. So musically, the breakdown is driving home the point of the lyric, and it all just works together as into this magic thing that happens when you're a fan of music. And that's what I like to bring back, or that's the way that I like to look at it, and not so much as, you know, is this tight or is that tight, but the overall picture, and just, you know, making that connection to the inner fan, which is going to translate to the outer fan. Whatever it is, whatever the message that they're trying to get across to the audience, I'm just kind of helping them get there and getting them in the state of mind, the best state of mind to deliver that message. Whether that message is something where they're trying to get people to think, to open up their minds, to, you know, see something differently, or whether that's like something, it's a catharsis, they're dealing with some inner issues that they have to get out.
I cast you out! Unclean spirit!
Shove it up your ass!
In the name of our Lord Jesus Christ!
In an angry way, or whether it's just pure entertainment, I'm helping them bring that out. You know, I'm from the old school. Like, the first couple of albums that I ever recorded on were done on reel-to-reel tape. So there was no digital editing. So I actually had to, you know, get it right. So I don't know, I kind of take that mentality with the guys that I record now. I know nowadays with computers you can make someone tight that isn't tight, but I'd rather them just spend that time practicing than practicing the part for an hour rather than editing it for an hour. A lot of times, you know, I'll be working with a band with a tight budget, so, you know, to help them out or to kind of pad the budget, they'll track guitars and bass at home on their you know, little interfaces, and they'll bring it in here, and I'll throw it in the track, and you know, a lot of times there's problems. It'll be out of tune a little bit, or I could tell that maybe it wasn't played right, but they figured out how to edit it and make it tight and in tune. And I could tell, you know, it doesn't sound real. It sounds edited. So you know, I'll just have them do it again and practice it a couple times and then do it again. A lot of times bands will present songs to me that they'd like me to produce. And one of the biggest things about that is streamlining the song and making it so that it's always exciting. A lot of times when a band's jamming a song in the studio, it's exciting to them because they wrote the riff, and, you know, it's pretty awesome to play it. But as a listener, you know, you have to kind of cut that down, because the attention span of the average listener today, in this day and age, is a lot shorter than it was even 10, 20 years ago. If you look at the evolution of song arrangements, it kind of coincides with the evolution of every other media that's coming at you. Like, you know, nowadays you see videos just clipping here.
No way.
Get ready.
Like that. And it's the same with music. Like, if you listen to songs that were written 20 years ago, the arrangements progress in a way slower fashion and get to the chorus and get to the meat of the song slower because people had longer attention spans. Nowadays, you kind of just gotta get right to the point of the song. Sometimes even like the second verse has to be something completely different than the first verse, because if you repeat the first verse, it's, you know, it's kind of boring. It's old by that time. So it's just always thinking about, like, it's something I do is always have the listener and their short attention span in mind when I'm arranging a song, so that there's never a lull, or there's never a part where it gets boring. Obviously, my biggest advertisement is my product. So I'll go the extra mile to make sure something sounds great, because that's a reflection of me. I think there was like a suit commercial or something that says, if you don't look good, we don't look good. I mean, that's kind of my motto. If you don't sound good, I don't sound good. And a lot of the clients that I have are return clients. Like, I've worked with the same bands for like 10 years. I mean, I'm always getting new bands, but People enjoy working with me. They like the results, and they come back. And I'm good friends with a lot of my clients to this day too. You know, we could go to football games and things like that as well. My clients vary. Some of the bands that come through here are just musicians that, like, you know, they want to play around town. They want their music to sound as good as it possibly can, but they don't expect to, you know, try to go on tour and break down any doors. And for bands like that, you know, I still give 100%. I get them to the best that they could possibly be, and have something that they'll always be proud of. I also work with national bands, you know, bands that tour nationally, internationally, and when I work with bands like that, I have a whole team of people that I run those productions through. I have editors, I have different mixers depending on the genre and, you know, what kind of sound they're going for. And for a production like that, you know, I run it through this whole process, a whole team, kind of like an assembly line of like creating a pro-sounding record. And that's, you know, if a band comes to me and they want to really take it to the next level, then I'll bring my whole team in, and we'll put out something that nobody's going to forget. A lot of hard work, a lot of pain, a lot of emotion, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears goes into making a record. And when you finally finish a project, and when all of that hard work is finally into this single work of art, it's an amazing feeling. And when you can give that to other human beings that can emotionally identify with it and feel everything that we put into it, it's probably one of the most rewarding feelings there is.